Hi, I'm Stacy from stacystjohn.com,
And I'm Valerie from quilldecor.com.
and we are here to help you better your B&B.
This is our weekly show where we review one property's listing and interiors in 15 minutes or less. What property are we going to review today, Stacy?
We are reviewing Janelle and Ross's property from Lake Lure, North Carolina. And I'm going to start this
Perfect.
timer. Let's
I'm
do it.
so excited about Janelle. Janelle told me when she submitted this listing that she has read my blog to help her with her decorating. Janelle, I'm so glad that my blog was helpful and my shopping list. So yay for that.
Yay.
We're going to start off talking about the Fab Five. So this is what you see right when you go into somebody's Airbnb listing. Stacy, what do you think about these Fab Five?
Well, I'm actually thinking I would love for these to be swapped out. So I always share, with the first 5 photos, I want to see what I'm going to experience at the property. And I think a picture of a bedroom is appropriate, but I would actually love to see the entire room instead of just a picture of a bed in the first 5 photos. Also, the photo with the windows, to me, it's a little confusing if I'm just glancing at it. So I don't really understand what I'm looking at. Now,
Yeah.
when I pull up the larger photo, I understand, oh, okay, I'm looking at, the exterior. I'm looking at what the view is out this window, but I don't I don't think it's actually serving Janelle in the best way possible. So I would look to actually swap out these Fab Five photos with some others. What are your thoughts?
So I agree. I kind of disagree about this picture, although, and I agree and disagree.
Oh,
So I know exactly what she's saying. She's saying this is your view from inside the house and it's
mhm,
beautiful.
mhm.
However, I don't think the picture is really all that compelling from a like, this is your shot point of view or
Mhm,
perspective. I think
mhm.
if you're going to, I think what would be more compelling is to probably show a picture of sitting on that porch exterior, with maybe a cup of coffee
Right.
or a coffee carafe set up on the side table saying, this is where you're having breakfast. This is where you're having your morning coffee. That is
Yeah.
more of a story. This is
Yeah.
just a view. It's not as powerful. And it doesn't
Yeah.
really, if you want to think about how these flow together and making it look really nice graphically, that one doesn't really, it kind of stands out as odd.
Yeah.
So, and I agree about the bedroom. So, okay, let's dive into the pictures overall because we have 3 key takeaways for this property and this host to think about, some tweaks and changes they could make to better their B&B. And the first one is the photos. Now, I know that Janelle and Ross are going to retake these photos fairly soon. She told me this was kind of a temporary fix. They went up and most of them they had to take on a cloudy day in the winter. So they're aware that they want to get some better seasonal photos with some more natural light coming in. So I don't need to say that. They know that's going to happen. You all know that that's something you need to do, more natural light, because I think we've talked about it many times on the show, haven't we?
We have.
Maybe too many? Okay. So, like, for example, in this picture, it feels, oh, we did it again. Hold on. In this in this picture,
Val is
it
Val is really good at
I'm
doing
just
the Zoom.
trying to make sure you can see this as big as possible. So in this picture, it's very clear that there's no natural light coming in, and maybe that's because there's not a big window in this room, but it isn't inviting at all. So I would stand back and also make sure to get as much natural light as you can in there, and then make sure to take the picture. Do you see how? So this is. Do you see my cursor, the
Uh-huh.
arrow?
Yep,
Yeah,
on the
okay.
left.
So this is going up and down. You want to make this wall parallel with this edge of your camera. Does that make sense? So right now, this camera is up over the bed. You want to
Okay.
make sure that your camera is up and down. Never angle your camera. Always keep it straight on the wall. That's what a
Oh.
professional photographer is going to do. So if you're taking your own pictures, or that's what a professional photographer should do, I will say. If you're taking your own pictures, the quickest and easiest way to make it look more professional is to make sure you're taking that angle out and holding that camera parallel with the corner of the walls and the
Can we
foyer.
pause?
Yeah.
Can we pause and just say, please don't take your own pictures.
Okay, yeah. No, please don't.
Please don't do that. Get
Hire
a
somebody.
professional. Yes, get a
They'll be
professional
so much
photographer.
better. They're gonna do so
That
much better at letting in that natural light too and still being able to see the outside. There's a variety of ways that professional photographers do that, that, to be honest, like the iPhone camera has come a long way. It is still worth the 250 or 300 bucks you're
yeah,
gonna spend to get that person in. And
yeah,
don't just let them go in there. You better be hovering. I
yeah.
want you to hover.
Oh,
Did you get a shot from this angle? Did you get down in front of the sofa at eye level? Did you, hold on, I need to fluff this thing. Like be there, be present, make
a
sure that it
amen. I'm sorry to
okay.
jump in on you, but I totally agree. And in fact, when I take photography, well, I shouldn't say when I take photography, when I have photography taken for my listings, I always try to go to the photo shoot and the photographers are like, "You're the only one that does this. Why?" But
Really?
I kinda act like an
Oh,
art director, right? So,
yeah.
"Ooh,
I
here's the
tell
shot list." Yeah.
I tell people to
Mhm.
act like it's their wedding day and you could come up with the list in advance. I want
Yeah.
one of me with my mom. I want my, right? Like you've got the list. Like I need one from, so first of all, stand in every room, every corner of every room and get that angle. You may not
Mhm.
use them all, but if you're directing the photographer to do that in every room, you're going to get the best shot from every room and you can select the
Yeah.
best.
Can
Yeah.
I also say, make sure the photographer has experience photographing a short-term rental. Photography for real estate is very different than photography for short-term rentals. We don't just want to get a picture of every room from one angle. Like we want to see subtleties and
Mhm.
nuances that make a property feel homey and cozy. So make sure your photographer has experience photographing a short-term rental.
Good point. Also, we wanted to make a point about seasonal photography just real quick. This is also one of our key takeaways for all of our people in the woods, especially when, so much about your surroundings are going to change depending on the seasons. So, Stacey, do you want to tell your quick tip about
Yeah.
how you should do that and change them out?
Yeah, I would recommend getting photographs of the exterior of the property during all 4 seasons, assuming there are 4 seasons where your property is located. And when you are swapping out your photos on a regular basis, I would encourage you to include the season that for which you are booking. So right now, as an example, we are looking at this in the spring. Chances are people right now are booking for late spring and summer. So I would want to see green on the trees. When
Mhm.
people start booking for fall, we want to swap out the exterior photos for the fall colors. So again, it's enticing people and it's a subtlety, but it helps people go, "Oh my gosh, this is
Mhm.
exactly what I'm looking for this fall. I want to book this place."
So do you yeah, so really it's about keeping your listing fresh is what you're
Mhm,
saying. So change it
mhm.
up based
Yep.
on what booking season is coming. Okay. So that's our second key takeaway is photographing for the seasons and paying attention to changing those out regularly. Um, my other key takeaway was going to be that it might be a good idea to add a floor plan for this space because it's a little bit of a confusing little house. I can tell how the floor plan works based on these pictures of what it looks like. So it looks like you drive up here and then most of the house faces out to the mountains, which is amazing. When you're looking at the basement photo, it's clear that the living room is in a basement, but it just from this photo, because there's no natural light, you think, am I just going to be living in a basement? Am I in
Mhm.
somebody's basement in a house? So it might be a good idea to have a quick floor plan done. There are websites and services that you can do this also for maybe a couple $100. It's not something you should spend a ton of money on, but that way people know where the living room is. And it looks like it's a basement, but it's not. Like it's facing out to the side of it's on the side of a mountain facing out to the
Right.
trees, and it's beautiful. So just make sure that that is apparent
Hey,
even in
Val.
this view. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about her cool blue doors?
Yeah.
I love them. I think it is so cool how she's put together the color palette in this room. And I always say, you're the professional designer. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, but I think this is really unique to have a blue couch with blue doors, and
Mhm.
clearly the accent furniture matches the wood trim. Anyway, I just think it's a really
Yeah.
cool look.
It's a really well-designed room. It's really well balanced and thoughtful. And I think if we get some natural light in here, it's going to change everything about how this room is inviting suddenly, a bit more inviting.
Yep.
Does that make
Yep.
sense?
It
Yeah, and
totally.
also turn off those fluorescent lights overhead, and if you can, maybe snip them out of the picture as much as possible, only because I think they take the value of the house down. It's clear that you have a wonderful home, a wonderful host, quality furniture, and I think if we can turn off those fluorescent lights, it's also gonna change the basement feel of the room.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so I have a really fun quick tip for everybody. I'm a
I
big
love fun quick tips.
I'm a big fan of plants, and when necessary, buy a really nice quality faux plant like it looks like Janelle has done here. So this is a really nice olive tree that she's got in the corner, but if you can see, it's a little bit dark. If you can see, it looks like it came with this like little 6-inch, heavy weighted pot, if you will, at the bottom, because that's often how faux trees come. So we don't want to leave it like that, because it looks dinky, right? So the way to get around that is you can get a basket, a nice big basket from Target, or you could do um, some kind of outdoor planter, something big and white from Amazon or Home Depot, like any variety of places. And a fun way to make it look like a real plant almost is to build up like as you put this tree into the big pot, put something to support moss on so that you could put some actual real dried moss at the top to make it, and that dries really lovely and it'll look green for a long time. Did that make
Love that.
sense? I
It
thought that was
totally
very
makes
choppy.
sense. Hey, Val, I do have a question about the height of the faux tree. I've seen some people actually purchase small pedestals to put a faux plant or a faux tree on. I've seen other people buy those decorative planters that actually have legs to them. Is there any tip or advice for what the height of a faux tree should be within a room?
That's a great question. I think it depends more on what you're trying to do in the room and where it's going. So if you have this really naked corner with maybe really tall ceilings, that might need the plant to be a bit higher. So maybe you do buy a pot with some legs that would get it a bit higher off the ground. You could also just think about your plant before you buy it if you need something really tall, and just make sure you're going for a taller plant.
Gotcha.
Um, okay, how are we doing on time?
We've got about a minute left.
Okay. So, one last thing I wanted to mention, Janelle, is about your kitchen. I think you guys did some renovations yourselves. I'm not sure if you're interested in doing any more renovations right now, but I think that this skinny little cabinet is very strange. And if it were my house, I'd take that right down and just do some open shelving right here. I can't imagine that losing this little amount of real estate would be that critical. And it just looks super odd because you don't have the uppers above the fridge here and or here. I just think it would probably suit the whole space better to do some upper shelves. And then you could even put this stuff on the upper shelves and have that tiny little bit of counter space, which is precious next to a stove. If you only have a sliver, you really need it. So,
Girl,
um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
love that advice. I love that advice. And I think from an aesthetic standpoint, it would actually modernize. Ah! Oh my goodness. The timer's going off. I think it would modernize the kitchen a bit more.
yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
love it.
Janelle, thank you very much for submitting your listing. It is beautiful. You're doing a great job. I'm sure you are already seeing success and traction with your rental, and we really hope that these tips were helpful.
And if you are watching and want to have your listing reviewed on the show, all you have to do is go to betteryourbnb.com and fill out a super simple form.
And if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe so that you will never miss an episode. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time. I'm Valerie Malone.
And I'm Stacy St. John. Happy hosting.
Bye.